Hi, my name's David and welcome to Wigan SENDIASS. We're going to use this time to talk you through what the law says about attendance and exclusion for children with special educational needs and disabilities, otherwise known as SEND. Please be aware that this does not apply to children and young people attending independent schools, city colleges, sixth form colleges, or 16 to 19 academies. There are two types of exclusions: fixed period, which is temporary and called a suspension, and permanent. And we will look at each one of these in turn. In each particular type, it is only the head teacher who can make the decision. The Department for Education now refers to fixed period exclusions as suspensions, both in the Exclusions Guidance 2022 and elsewhere, but this is not the legal definition. The Exclusions Guidance 2022 makes it clear that suspension means fixed period exclusion, and sometimes the Exclusions Guidance 2022 uses exclusion interchangeably to mean fixed period or permanent. In relation to fixed period exclusions, these suspensions do not need to be for a continuous period, and a pupil can be excluded for one or more times in any academic year up to a maximum of 45 days. If a child is approaching the 45-day mark, the head teacher should consider whether exclusion is the appropriate sanction for the child. The suspension cannot be extended or made into a permanent exclusion, but it may be possible to issue a further suspension to take immediate effect after the first one ends, or to issue a permanent exclusion as the fixed one comes to an end. These would be considered exceptional circumstances. Any fixed period suspension should be followed up with a strategy for reintegration and a plan moving forward. This tends to include a meeting with parents and carers. In relation to permanent exclusions, a permanent exclusion can only be made where a serious or persistent breaches of the school's behaviour policy has occurred, or where it is felt that allowing the pupil to stay at that school would be detrimental to the education or welfare of the pupil or others in the school. Are there any other types of exclusions? Any attempt to informally or unofficially suspend a child are not legal. An example of this would be where a school wants to send someone home to cool off. Lunchtime suspensions are feasible where the child's behaviour during these unstructured times is considered disruptive. In these cases, a child would be excluded from the premises over lunchtime, and this would be considered as a half-day suspension. Medical reasons for sending a child home are not suspensions and should be recorded as authorised absence. Some schools can arrange for a pupil to go off-site in the hope of improving their behaviours. The duty to notify. Parents must be notified in writing and without delay by the head teacher of any suspension or exclusion, explaining reasons, rights and obligations. A second consecutive fixed-term suspension must be covered by a new letter explaining the change and explaining any additional information. The local authority must be notified of all suspensions and permanent exclusions, again without delay. Notifications must contain the reason for the suspension or permanent exclusion and the duration if it's a temporary suspension. For any child of compulsory school age with or without an EHCP who is on a fixed period suspension of more than 5 days, arrangements must be made by the local authority for suitable full-time education, which must start no later than day 6 of the suspension. This includes where consecutive suspensions go beyond 5 days. So once a child has been suspended for more than 5 days, the duty to provide a full-time education is triggered. In cases of permanent exclusions, the child's local authority must also arrange suitable full-time education no later than day 6 of the exclusion. Where a child with an EHCP is permanently excluded, the plan must be amended to reflect this. Thank you for watching.